Today we have a highly practical session lined up. We are going to walk through how to build an application and deploy an ASP.NET Core Web API with Scalar to Azure App Service. Let's quickly look at our agenda for today's session. We are going to cover four main areas. First, a quick refresher on what is ASP.NET Core Web API. Second, we will look at how to enable Scalar for the app. Scalar is a fantastic interactive alternative to the traditional Swagger documentation, and it's integrated beautifully with native OpenAPI features in .NET 10. Third, we will discuss what is Azure App Service and why it is a great hosting choice. And finally, we will move into a hands-on demo where we deploy our API app to Azure App Service. Before we dive into the technical details and the code, welcome to .NETMirror channel. If you found this content helpful, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming deep dive sessions on .NET and Azure. So, what is ASP.NET Core Web API? ASP.NET Core Web API is a cross-platform open source framework designed specially for building HTTP-based services. Because it is a cross-platform, you can develop and run your APIs on Windows, macOS, or Linux. In simpler terms, it is the bridge that allows different application, mobile apps, web frontend like React or Blazor, and IoT devices to communicate with a central server. If you look at the simplified diagram on the screen, the process is very straightforward. A client sends an HTTP request. This request hits ASP.NET Core Web API controller. In modern .NET 10 apps, our minimal API endpoints. The action method processes the business logic, perform any necessary read and write operations, and then returns an HTTP response. Typically, it is formatted as JSON or XML, which is sent to the client. It is the ideal framework for creating RESTful APIs on the .NET platform. To enable the Scalar, install the NuGet package, register the OpenAPI service, and make sure you map Scalar API reference so that Scalar is enabled for your app. I have a detailed video how to enable Scalar on ASP.NET Core Web API. I will provide the link in the description. Go and watch. Once our .NET 10 API is built, we need to host it. This is where Azure App Service comes into picture. Azure App Service is fully managed platform as a service, which enables you to build and deploy web applications, RESTful APIs, and mobile backends. The biggest advantage here is that you do this without managing underlying infrastructure. Azure handles the patching, load balancing, and server maintenance for you. It gives you the choice of your programming language, supporting environments like .NET, .NET Core, Java, PHP, Python, or Ruby. Furthermore, you have incredible flexibility regarding how you host it. You can run app in containers or you can run it directly on Windows or Linux virtual machines. When it comes to actual getting your code onto Azure App Service, there are many deployment methods available. You can deploy using scripting tools like Azure CLI or PowerShell. You can use traditional FTP or FTPS. If you are working directly in Visual Studio, you can use a publish for file for a one-click deployment. For automated enterprise level CI/CD, you can integrate with Azure pipelines, GitHub Actions, or third-party tools like Jenkins. Azure also supports advanced features like deployment slots for zero downtime releases, Docker containers, and source control integrations like local Git or Bitbucket. On the deployment methods, I have a complete list on all these deployment methods. Go and watch it. I will provide the link in the description. For our demo today, we are going to look at the simplest approach, publishing the files using Visual Studio. Let's jump into the demo. This is the code base I'm using. I have connected in my Visual Studio. This code is basically a basic controller based APIs where we are trying to read CRUD operations for the certification. If you look at the program.cs, we enabled Scalar, and within this particular statement, we are trying to put a map Scalar API reference. Let's run this local app. Now our app is running on 7295. And if you look at here, our endpoints are available in the Scalar in the local host. Now let's go and deploy this to Azure App Service. Let's quickly create an Azure App Service. I will select existing resource group. Let's provide a name. Let's select .NET 10. And I already have one free service plan. I'll go and use that. Let's initiate the deployment. Now the web app is created. Let's browse this. Now the app is up and running. In order to deploy from Visual Studio, let's go enable basic authentication. Let's go back to Visual Studio. Let's publish this. Let's add a publisher file. Select Azure, Azure App Service Windows. As I already connected to my account, so it is displaying now. So I created under this resource group. This is our web app. Because our app is API and it has OpenAPI.json. It is saying that go and deploy to API management. I'll skip this step. In the next video, I'll cover how to deploy to API management. Let's click on next, click on finish. Now, if you look at the service dependencies, it says it requires an Azure API management, but let's ignore. Let's go and publish this. The app is getting published to Azure App Service. Now the deployment is completed. Let's browse this. If you browse the app, it says cannot be found. In order to browse, just go and say Scalar/v1. If you see here, we are not able to access Scalar/v1 also. The reason because in the code we mentioned enable Scalar only in the development environment. The code is deployed with release mode. So let's go to the app and let's go to the environment variables. We have to define one environment variable. Now we are defining our app to development. As this demo purpose, I'm doing it, but on production applications, you should not do like this. So let's apply. App setting is applied. Let's go and refresh. Now we see side by side, our local app is running, even the Azure app is running here. Let me go and invoke one endpoint. Now you can see we're getting certificates here. And if I go to local also, if I test my local endpoint, I'm getting the same set of certifications. So in this way, you can go and deploy your API to Azure App Service. With this, we are done with the demo. Let's go back to the PPT. If you want to review the exact code we used today, I have uploaded the entire sample project code to GitHub. You can find the repository in the description. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this tutorial helpful, please drop a like on the video and leave a comment if you have any questions about Scalar or deploying Azure. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.